This is Learn from Others, where we interview a cross-section of successful individuals so you can learn from their experiences, achievements, and even their mistakes. We ask 4 questions that will educate and inspire. Greg Stanley will be your guide as we join our guest on a journey from adolescent daydreaming to success in today's world. Join us on this adventure as we learn from others together.
Welcome to Learn from Others, where we help others succeed by sharing success. I'm very excited to introduce our special guest today, Griffin Stewart. Griffin, how you doing?
Great. Thanks so much for having me on, Greg. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're doing some really cool stuff. But before we get to that cool stuff, why don't you tell us, what did you want to be when you grew up?
As early as I can remember, probably an artist or a painter. I enjoyed art a lot, so that was probably my favorite thing.
How did this manifest itself? Was it finger paints in kindergarten, or was it more expert like in high school?
Yeah, I took some art classes in middle school and high school, and so learned how to draw and how to visualize things and get them from a photo to paper. So that's where that went.
That's awesome. Well, was that one of your favorite subjects or hobbies in school, art, or were there others?
Kind of. It inspired me later. I did product design, which is basically getting to draw all day and draw on the computer and that kind of thing. So I found a major that allowed me to be creative and enjoy drawing with my hands and using my hands.
Oh, that's really cool. Well, what was your first real job where you got a paycheck?
My first job, I worked for a friend's dad doing lawn care in the heat of the Georgia summer, and I got paid $6 an hour tax-free, and I learned I didn't really want to do that too long if I could avoid it.
Right. You learned, hey, let's try another path. So,
yeah.
Well, cool. Well, what do you do today?
So today I own a company called 5 Day Deal, which I co-founded and kind of created from the ground up, and we sell digital tutorials, photographers, video creators, and business owners to help them improve their craft and their business.
So what does that look like? Because I went on your website. It looks like you've had a lot of great interactions with a lot of professionals and a lot of activity. And then if you could also talk about the charitable aspect of it as well.
Sure, yeah. So what we're able to do, I feel really fortunate. We've been able to partner with many of the top educators and people in the different industries that we serve, and we get their products together, put them together in a bundle that usually retails for around $2,000, and for 5 days only per year, we sell those for typically less than $100. And while we're doing that, we donate 10% to different amazing charities throughout the world. And since 2014, we've been able to donate over $1.5 million to charitable causes. So it's been just really amazing to see the impact, and far exceeded any expectations that we had. We kind of were like, oh, that'd be cool if we could donate $20,000 a year, or maybe if it goes really well, $50,000 a year. So it's really just shot past anything that we would have thought it could have done, and it's been really fun for us and partners and customers to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and it's quite a business you started. I would have never even thought of a business like that. So what I'm really curious about is if you could take us kind of on your little career journey there from high school on to today, and how that shaped this idea for this business that you have.
Sure, yeah. So God's really just kind of guided me, and I just make turns here and there, but there's been a bigger picture that I wasn't aware of, and it's been really cool to kind of look back and see how that's evolved over the years without me being the master plan of it. But so in college I did product design, which is, like designing iPods and iPhones and that kind of thing. But I realized early on doing that in order to do it well, I would probably either have to go work for a big company in their shop, or I'd have to have my own shop with a bunch of tools and very location dependent in order to do that successfully. So from that, I learned a little bit of graphic design and a little bit of web design, and that's kind of the direction I took after college, was doing graphic and web design for people. So I did that worked for a company doing their web and graphic design for a year. I traveled around for a year, did some IT work, and then it was really cool. I worked for one of the top photography educators, maybe in the world. His name's Trey Ratcliffe, and I reached out to him to see if I could design his ebooks and kind of manage an ebook store that he had. So he accepted, and I did that for a couple years and met a lot of other photographers through that. And then one of the authors from his ebook store contacted me and asked me if I wanted to do the website and the graphics for a photography bundle. And I purchased a couple small business bundles and some travel blogger bundles over the years, and had always thought to myself, this would be really cool with photography, and I hadn't seen it yet. So I told them, I could do that, and here's the pricing, but it's pretty expensive, and it's a kind of a risk on their end, because if it didn't go well, then they may be paying me more than they would make. So I asked them if we could partner up and do that together, and they knew the math and how that worked for partners to make it worth it. So we partnered together and launched our first sale January 2014, and that resulted in $45,000 for charity. And then we launched our second sale October 2014, and that one did $230,000 for charity. So really just kind of shot up and took off. And so that's kind of how I arrived where I'm at, and how the previous skills have helped me get there.
Wow, that's awesome. So you kind of got, I don't want to say forced, but it kind of, the bundling had to work from an economic perspective initially. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. We were really fortunate. I invested about 3 months of my time and about $3,000, and our partners did about the same. And then just from the first sale, we made around $50,000 from that sale, and charity was able to make similar as well. And then our partners were able to make around $350,000 is what we were able to pay out to our partners. So it was a real win-win all around.
Now, what's the big selling point for, like, say I'm a photographer, what's the big selling point for me to be a part of the bundle?
So as a partner, what we do is we pay generous commissions, up to 75% of every sale that a partner brings in. We pay that out to them. So if the bundle costs $100, they get $75. And then we also have a kind of bonus pool that's made up of 7% of all the sales of the bundle. And so they can get that as well. Up to, some partners make up to 100% of the gross sales that they've brought in.
Wow. Okay. So it sounds like you really figured out the formula for making this advantageous for everyone, not only the photographers, but also, to raise the money for the charities. So that's a great formula you have there.
Yeah, we like it. And, it's one of the few business models I've seen where it's kind of, there's three wins. The customers are happy. We make enough to make it worth it for us, and our partners make a lot of money and are really happy as well. So.
Now, one part of your career journey that you spoke of, which if you're up to it, I'd like to hear a little bit more about, is you said you traveled for a year. You didn't just travel for a year. You went all over the world for a year, correct?
Yeah. I got a around the world ticket. I think nowadays they cost around $5,000, but you can get it where there's a stop or two on every continent except for Antarctica. And so I saved up and lived really cheaply. My first year out of college, I made $24,000 before taxes, and I was able to save up about $14,000 of that.
Wow.
By just, walking or biking to work and eating cheaply and not going out much. And so then I took a while and went around the world and tried to see as many countries as I could. And then later in life, me and my wife, we taught in Korea for 2 years, and after that traveled for another year and a half. So I've been to about 60 countries, and just really, that's one of my passions, is I really enjoy traveling, and that's also how I got into photography. Is I enjoy taking, as beautiful a photo as I can of the places that I visit.
And you do take some amazing photographs, and thanks for sharing that on social media. How did the travel piece influence your current business and career?
Yeah, I really wanted something that I could do from anywhere. I didn't want to have to, be in a location for a job or have to move to another location if the job changed. So my goal has always been to be able to make a living from an internet connection. And so that's what initially led me to web and graphic design. And then with this job as well, there's no physical location. We don't ship products. They're all digital. So currently we're based in Colorado Springs, but if at any point we want to move, we can move and hook up the internet and keep doing what we're doing.
That's awesome. That's a great way to think about it when you're thinking about what I want to do for a living. Mobility is a big part of it for sure. So as a reminder, you can check out all previous episodes at learnfromothers.org. If you're an educator or a student, you can search for podcasts by career cluster, and additional resources are under the resource tab. So we found out what you wanted to be when you grew up, which was something artistic, and we found out what you do today. So if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
I don't think I'd do too much differently. I mean, as far as like, I enjoyed art and the creativity of drawing and that kind of thing, and I still get to make some of the graphic for our companies and that kind of thing. But yeah, like I'm really thankful and feel blessed to be where I'm at, because my goal of being able to make an income and a really good income from the internet and being able to be location independent has been reached, and was reached probably a lot earlier than I would have expected. So I do take photography, and to me that's kind of my creative outlet other than being an entrepreneur and business owner, and so that's really enjoyable. And the nice thing about photography is, if I painted a photo of a place I'm out, that could take hours or days or weeks depending on how I wanted to do that. But with a photo, Valerie, my wife, would tell you that it takes a lot longer than it should. But within 10 or 15 minutes I can get a nice photo that I'm happy with of a location that we're at, and then post-process that to bring out some creativity from it as well.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's make the assumption someone wants to do what you do. What advice would you give them?
I think it's important to kind of define what your ultimate goal is. Like, what's the most important to you? Do you want to make, is it salary or location or mobility? Like, do you want to live in New York, and that's kind of what's most important to you, New York City? Or, do you want to have this job that's only available in a certain place or from a certain company? Or would you like to, have location independence? And one of the things that's been really fun about that is, like, I'm able to kind of control my schedule a little bit. And then also, for example, when I was doing graphic design and traveling, we traveled for a year and a half. We spent about $35,000 a year for me and my wife to do that. So some of the countries you go to are much cheaper than America, and if you're making U.S. dollars and regular American wages, then you can travel rather cheaply, and you don't need a lot of income to be able to do that.
Right. No, that's great. So I guess your advice would be figure out exactly what your goal is first before you start pursuing. Even if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to figure out what is your end goal.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing that has helped me, that I see a lot of people maybe going the opposite way, is, initially, like, I enjoy and I love photography, and I love to share how, I take photos and do that with others. But when I was looking to make a business, I realized, I could spend 5 or 10 years trying to build up my name and my recognition and my brand of Griffin Stewart's photography tutorials. But what I realized is there's a lot of people that have already, done that, and it would be a lot quicker if I can figure out something that will benefit them and partner with them. So what we've done with 5-Day Deal, and the reason we were incredibly profitable even within our first 12 months, was we partner with people that are already successful. We help them to make even more, get a wider audience for their products, and make more income for themselves and their business from their products. And so, again, it's kind of a win-win, but I think that's an important decision to make, is, do I want to spend the time and effort to make myself well-known, or am I okay helping others that are already well-known be more successful? And to me, it's like, I don't know that many customers know my name. We have over 100,000 customers, and I don't know if they know that Griffin Stewart is the owner of 5-Day Deal. All they might know is that 5-Day Deal sells great tutorials that help them with their efforts. So
that's a great way to look at it, because you're right. Creating your own brand nowadays is very, very hard. And, if you're helping someone else out, it doesn't matter if your own brand's not recognized. If you have a successful business that's viable, that's a great point. Well, cool. Well, are there any current projects you're working on that you would like to share?
Sure, yeah. Right now we're recruiting for a business bundle, so we're hoping to launch that in March, mid-March or end of March. And we typically keep a general cycle, so if you're listening to this podcast and that's already passed, we've also got a video creators bundle that's around July, and then our big photography bundle is every October. But yeah, that's what we're working on now, and we're hoping to just help small business owners learn tools and techniques to help grow their businesses.
As with most journeys, success largely depends on reliable transportation, and I think you probably know I'm a big car guy, and yeah. I don't know if you are or not. So this will tell us here shortly. What was your first car?
My first car was a Jeep Wrangler. And
That's a good first car.
Really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. And what is your dream car?
My dream car, or my favorite car, would probably be the McLaren F1. I just like that it's got a center driver's seat and the butterfly doors.
Wow, you're the first person to pick that. Is actually going down in history as the most iconic supercar ever.
All right.
Yeah, they were, I think, $1 million new. Now they're trading for $15 to $18 million.
Yeah,
they only made
out of my price range.
Right, yeah, I just love to sit in one. They only made, I think, 107 of them.
Wow.
Well, just as an FYI, they just released the specs for the new McLaren Speedtail, which also has 3 seats in it. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, all right. Is that going to be more around the $30,000 range or something?
No, actually, 3.2 million.
Still out of my price.
Darn it. Yeah, darn it. Maybe the next one. Well, one great perk to some jobs is a company car. So if I had all the money in the world, I'd love to buy you a really cool company car based on your job. So this one, honestly, I went straight to the charitable route because I thought that's such a big aspect of what you do. I looked up, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's always a lot of cars that come up for sale at auctions that are rare or special, and the proceeds go to charity.
Okay,
and
cool.
One of the biggest buyers of charity cars, specifically Corvettes and Camaros, is Rick Hendricks of Hendricks Racing, NASCAR Racing. And so he loves the first serial number of a new Corvette. And so I got a list here. I did not get all of them, but he bought the first Corvette from 1955, 1956, 1957, 2004, 2005, 2019, and then he bought the first 2017 Acura, the first Camaros from 1969, 2010, 2011, 2016, and 2018. So all in on these cars I just rolled off, he spent around $6.3 million.
Man,
so he would pay $1 million just to have the very first car. So all that said, I picked the coolest one in my book of all of these as your company car. I picked the 2019 Corvette ZR1 as your company car. So you can get around everywhere you want really fast.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the Corvette styling. It's very aggressive looking. So.
Yeah, so I'll send you a picture of this when this posts. So like I said, if I had all the money in the world, you could probably talk me into the F1 if I did have all the money in the world. Well, thank you so much for taking us on your journey. What's the best way our listeners can learn more about you and your company?
If you visit us at 5daydeal.com, either the number or spelled out, it'll get you to the same place. And if you sign up for our newsletter or like our Facebook page, then we'll let you know when our next bundle comes out. And we typically have $5,000 to $10,000 giveaways that go along with our bundles as well. So if you're more interested in free stuff than paying, then we've got some things for you there as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking us on your career journey today.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for listening to Learn from Others, where we help others succeed by sharing success. Where will our next adventure take us? Subscribe to find out. If you know of someone who has a cool career story or occupation, contact Greg through Instagram at Greg Stanley LFO. That's GregStanley LFO. And we will see you soon as we learn from others together.